Most people run from solitude because it feels uncomfortable. The silence exposes too much. The insecurities, the fears, the doubts. But that silence, that stillness, is where transformation begins. When you strip away the noise of the world, the opinions, the constant comparisons, you're left with the most honest version of yourself. That's where clarity lives. That's where purpose starts to whisper. Solitude doesn't destroy you. It introduces you to the person you've been avoiding. And sometimes, meeting that person is exactly what you need to finally move forward. It's easy to depend on others for direction, for encouragement, for validation. We all do it at some point, but when you choose to walk alone, you remove the crutches. You learn to stand on your own legs, to trust your own instincts, to build a relationship with your own mind. That's when growth becomes real, when no one's clapping for you, yet you still show up. When no one's watching, but you still give your best. That kind of self-accountability is what separates dreamers from doers. Solitude forces you to listen to your inner voice, the one that's been drowned out by the opinions of others. In the quiet, you start to realize how much time you've wasted chasing approval or waiting for permission to start. You stop asking, "Do they think I can do it?" and start declaring, "I know I can." That's the power of walking alone. You learn that self-belief isn't something you find. It's something you build through action, through repetition, through enduring the days when no one seems to care about your progress but you. There will be nights when loneliness feels like a weight pressing on your chest. You'll question if this path is worth it. You'll wonder if isolation is strength or madness. But in those moments, you have to remind yourself that solitude is not the absence of connection. It's the presence of growth. You're not losing people. You're finding yourself. You're not disconnected. You're realigning with what truly matters. Every great mind, every person who's achieved something extraordinary, has walked this same path of silence before the applause. The truth is, solitude reveals whether your goals are truly yours or borrowed from the expectations of others. When you're alone, there's no one left to impress, no audience to perform for. You begin to see what actually drives you. If the motivation fades without validation, it was never real. But if the fire stays lit in the dark, that's purpose. That's conviction, and that's when you know you don't need anyone to walk this road with you. Being alone teaches you responsibility. There's no one to blame when you fail, and no one to hide behind when things get hard. But that's a gift. It gives you power, because once you realize that everything is in your hands, your habits, your focus, your mindset, you stop waiting for luck or timing or help. You start creating momentum from within. You start to see that solitude isn't punishment, it's preparation. You are being shaped in the quiet, molded by the silence, strengthened by the moments when it feels like no one understands you. That's where the foundation is built. And when the time comes to rise, to step back into the world, you'll be unshakable. Because your strength won't depend on anyone else's presence or approval. Solitude is the training ground of self-mastery. It's where you stop being a follower and start becoming your own guide. It's where you learn that peace doesn't come from others staying. It comes from you not breaking when they leave. So don't fear the silence, embrace it, because the person you become in solitude will be the one who leads you to everything you've ever wanted. Walk alone, not because you have to, but because that's how you'll discover who you truly are. When you decide to achieve your goals alone, you'll quickly realize that discipline becomes your closest ally. Motivation comes and goes. It's like a wave. It rises with emotion but disappears when the struggle begins. Discipline, however, is what remains when motivation fades. It's the quiet, consistent force that gets you out of bed when no one's calling your name. That keeps you working when no one's applauding your effort. Most people underestimate how powerful it is to simply do what you said you'd do, even when you don't feel like it. That's how trust in yourself is built. When you rely on others for accountability, you give away your power. But when you hold yourself accountable, you take it back. The truth is, no one's coming to remind you of your potential. No one's going to chase you down and drag you toward your dreams. It's on you to build that structure, that routine, that standard for yourself. Discipline is self-respect in action. It's you saying, I care enough about my future to do what's uncomfortable today. And the more you do it, the stronger that muscle becomes. People often think discipline is about punishment, but it's not. It's about freedom. When you discipline your mind, you free yourself from the chains of laziness, distraction, and regret. You no longer depend on your moods to determine your actions. You act because you've decided who you are and what you're committed to. That's real strength. When your emotions no longer control your behavior, you become unstoppable. There will be days when you don't feel like doing anything. You'll wake up tired, uninspired, maybe even defeated. Those are the defining moments. That's where greatness is born. Anyone can work when they're motivated. It takes a different kind of person to keep going when the fire burns low. Every time you push through the resistance, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who doesn't quit. You're teaching your mind that your feelings don't dictate your destiny. Discipline isn't built overnight. It's forged in repetition, in small daily acts of self-control. It's waking up a little earlier, choosing to focus instead of scroll, saying no to instant gratification because you're building something long-term. These small moments compound. They turn into habits. Habits turn into character, and character shapes destiny. Discipline is simply the art of doing small things right, every day, until the results are undeniable. You can't rely on inspiration forever, because inspiration fades in the face of difficulty. But discipline adapts. It becomes a system, a structure that protects your vision when your emotions betray you. It's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. And the truth is, discipline often looks boring. It's repetitive, it's demanding, it's lonely. But that's where transformation hides, in the daily grind, in the unglamorous hours when no one's watching. People will say you're obsessed. They'll call it extreme. But the same people who question your discipline today will envy your freedom tomorrow. Because discipline eventually becomes liberation. It gives you control over your time, your energy, and your results. It turns chaos into clarity, weakness into willpower, and once you experience the peace that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself, you'll never want to live any other way. The hardest battles you'll ever fight will be internal, the battle between who you are and who you could be. Discipline is the bridge that connects them. It's the quiet voice that says, keep going, when everything in you screams to stop. And when you listen to that voice long enough, it becomes louder than your excuses. So, if you truly want to achieve your goals alone, make discipline your foundation. Build it, protect it, honor it. Because when discipline leads the way, success doesn't become a question of if. It becomes a matter of when. One of the greatest traps people fall into is chasing approval. We grow up craving recognition. Someone to notice our effort, to validate our worth, to tell us we're doing enough. But when you start walking your own path, you have to learn to let go of that need. Because as long as your drive depends on what others think, your energy will always fluctuate with their opinions. You'll rise when they praise you and fall when they ignore you. Real freedom begins the moment you stop performing for the world and start living for your purpose. External validation feels good, it's addictive. Every compliment, every like, every nod of approval gives a small rush, a sense of being seen. But it's temporary. The moment it fades, you're left searching for the next one, like a drug that never satisfies for long. The problem is, the more you depend on external validation, the more disconnected you become from your own instincts. You start to ask, what will they think? Instead of, what do I believe? You start shaping your actions around perception instead of truth. And that's how people lose themselves, by trying to please everyone, except the one person they actually have to live with, themselves. When you stop chasing validation, you reclaim your power. You begin to realize that self-respect is far more valuable than applause. You start doing things because they align with your values, not because they'll make you look successful. And ironically, when you stop caring so much about what people think, they start respecting you more. Because authenticity has a gravity of its own, people are drawn to those who stand firm in who they are. Building internal drive means you learn to become your own motivator. You stop needing someone to tell you good job, just to keep going. You stop looking for proof that you're capable. You know it because you see yourself showing up every day. You become your own evidence. And once you experience that, once you feel the pride that comes from doing something difficult simply because you said you would, you'll never want to rely on anyone else's praise again. The truth is, validation from others will always be conditional. It will depend on their mood, their perspective, their insecurities. But the validation that comes from within, that's unconditional. It's not based on results. It's based on effort, intention, and integrity. When you know you gave your best, even if no one saw it, you rest with peace instead of frustration. That's real fulfillment. There's a quiet kind of strength that comes from knowing you're enough without needing anyone to confirm it. It doesn't mean arrogance. It means stability. It means your confidence isn't fragile anymore. You can handle criticism without breaking, and you can handle praise without becoming dependent on it. You stop chasing love in the form of approval, and you start living from love. The love you have for your own growth, your own purpose, your own standards. When you rely on internal drive, you become unstoppable, because now your energy comes from something that can't be taken away. It's not tied to followers, recognition, or status. It's tied to the mission you've chosen, the vision you've built in silence. And every day you stay committed to it, your internal world becomes stronger than the noise around you. So if you want to achieve your goals alone, let go of the need to be seen and start focusing on becoming someone worth seeing. Let your results speak louder than your words, and let your consistency be the proof of your belief. Because the person who no longer needs validation from others is the person who finally becomes unstoppable. Pain is a teacher most people try to avoid, but it's also the one that teaches the deepest lessons. Every wound, every rejection, every disappointment carries something within it, an opportunity to evolve. Most people look at pain as punishment, but it's not. It's feedback. It's life's way of showing you where you still need to grow, what you still need to face, what you still need to build inside yourself. You can either let pain break you or let it refine you. And that choice, that decision of how you interpret suffering, determines who you become. When people reject you, when doors close, when life seems to push you down, it's easy to take it personally. You start to wonder what's wrong with you. But what if rejection isn't meant to define you? What if it's meant to redirect you? Sometimes the path you thought you wanted isn't the one that will actually fulfill you. Sometimes people walk away because their part in your story is over. And the pain of losing them, the sting of being left behind, is the exact fuel that pushes you toward becoming someone greater than you ever imagined. Pain is unavoidable, but suffering is optional. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control what you do with it. You can allow pain to make you bitter, or you can let it make you wiser. Every setback contains within it the seed of strength, but only if you're willing to face it. Running from pain only keeps it alive. When you confront it, when you sit with it, when you learn from it, you strip it of its power to control you. You start to realize that pain doesn't destroy. It transforms. It tears down the version of you that couldn't handle life's storms and rebuilds someone who can. Rejection, too, is a strange kind of blessing. It strips away false comfort. It exposes your dependence on approval. When someone says no, when the opportunity doesn't come, when life slams a door in your face, it forces you to create something new. It teaches you to generate your own worth instead of waiting for someone else to recognize it. Rejection shows you who you are without the applause. And once you see that, once you understand that your value was never tied to their acceptance, you become unshakable. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are not those who have lived easy lives. They're the ones who have been broken and rebuilt. They've been betrayed, humiliated, underestimated, yet they kept going. They took every painful experience and turned it into wisdom, every failure and turned it into a lesson. That's what real power looks like. Not being untouched by pain, but being undefeated by it. You have to learn to thank your pain. Not immediately, pain hurts. It drains you. It's messy. But in time, you'll look back and realize that without those dark moments, you wouldn't have found your depth. Pain wakes you up. It humbles you. It forces you to grow in ways comfort never could. When everything falls apart, you discover what truly matters. You see who you really are. The more you resist pain, the longer it controls you. But when you accept it as part of your evolution, it becomes fuel. Every rejection becomes redirection. Every wound becomes wisdom. Every heartbreak becomes hunger. The pain that once crushed you becomes the foundation of your strength. So don't curse the pain. Don't run from rejection. Let them build you. Let them shape you. Because when you learn to turn pain into power, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the creator of your destiny. Without a clear vision, it's easy to drift. You wake up, you work, you survive, but there's no direction. You're moving, but you're not progressing. And that's one of the most painful ways to live, to be busy but lost. That's why vision matters. It's the anchor that holds you steady when the storms come. It gives meaning to the struggle and order to the chaos. Without vision, you get caught in distractions, pulled by every opinion, tempted by comfort and trapped by fear. But when your vision is clear, so clear you can see it, feel it, and almost touch it, everything else aligns. Your energy, your focus, your discipline, they all begin to move in the same direction. A clear vision isn't just about goals. Goals can change. Vision is deeper, it's about purpose. It's knowing why you wake up, why you fight, why you endure. It's the picture of the life you're building when no one believes in you yet. You have to see it before it exists, because that belief is what fuels the actions that make it real. Every great achievement in human history began in the mind of someone who refused to let go of their vision, even when everyone else called it impossible. But here's the truth. Your vision won't always be exciting. Some days it'll feel distant, blurry, even impossible. That's when most people quit. That's when they convince themselves that maybe it wasn't meant to be. But the ones who keep going, the ones who hold that vision close when everything around them falls apart, those are the ones who make it. You don't need the whole world to see your dream. You just need to see it clearly enough that nothing can pull you away from it. Write it down, speak it out loud. Picture it so vividly that your brain starts to believe it's already happening. When your vision becomes that real to you, you begin to move differently. You start making choices that align with it. You start cutting out what doesn't belong. You stop settling for what's comfortable because you know what you're aiming for. That's the power of clarity. It doesn't just inspire you, it disciplines you. The clearer your vision, the easier it becomes to say no to distractions. You stop chasing what's temporary and start building what's lasting. You understand that not everything deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your time. You start protecting your focus like your life depends on it because it does. Without focus, even the most beautiful vision fades into a daydream. But with focus, that same vision becomes your reality. You have to be patient with it. You can't plant a seed and dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You nurture it, protect it, water it with effort, and let time do its work. The same goes for your vision. It might not happen overnight. You'll face setbacks. People will doubt you. You'll doubt yourself. But every step, every mistake, every small victory is part of the process. Don't lose sight of where you're headed just because the journey takes longer than you hoped. When your vision becomes your anchor, no storm can throw you off course. You may bend, but you won't break. You may fall, but you'll rise again because you know what you're working toward. You know why you started, and that clarity gives you strength when everything else fails. So don't just dream vaguely about success, define it. See it so vividly that it becomes impossible to ignore. Because the clearer your vision, the stronger your will. And the person who has a clear vision doesn't wait for opportunities, they create them. There comes a point in every journey where you realize that your dream isn't waiting for a group. It's waiting for you. Not your friends, not your family, not the people who said they'd support you, but you. And in that realization lies the hardest truth. Before you can achieve your goals, you must first become the person capable of carrying them. Because a dream without the strength to sustain it will always collapse under its own weight. Most people think success is about having the right plan or the right opportunity. It's not, it's about becoming the kind of person who can handle both. If your character doesn't match the size of your vision, it will fall apart the moment pressure hits. That's why solitude, pain, and struggle are part of the process. They're not punishments, they're preparation. Every challenge is shaping you into someone stronger, someone more disciplined, someone capable of holding the weight of the life you're asking for. You have to build yourself from the inside out. No one's coming to save you or do the work for you. The discipline, the resilience, the emotional stability, it all has to come from within. You can't fake it. You can't borrow it. You have to earn it day after day through consistency and sacrifice. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation, facing your fears, your weaknesses, your bad habit. The more honest you become with yourself, the more power you gain over your own life. There will be times when it feels like too much, too heavy, too lonely, too far. You'll wonder if you're strong enough to keep going. That's when you have to remember that becoming the person who can carry the dream isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to test you, because the version of you that started this journey isn't the one who will finish it. You're being refined, reshaped, and rebuilt for something greater. Every setback, every sleepless night, every sacrifice is forming the foundation of your strength. People might walk away. They might not understand your drive. They might even mock your ambition. Let them. Because the path you're on isn't meant for everyone. It's meant for someone who's willing to grow beyond recognition. You can't carry your dream while holding on to everyone else's approval. You can't climb higher if you keep trying to pull people with you who aren't ready to rise. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is walk alone and become an example of what's possible. The person who can carry the dream is the one who no longer needs permission to pursue it. They've learned to trust their own judgment, to stand firm in uncertainty, to act even when fear screams louder than courage. They've stopped waiting for the right time, because they've realized the right time is now. They've stopped making excuses, because they've understood that no one's going to hand them the life they want. They have to build it. Carrying the dream means carrying the weight of responsibility. It means doing what's right, not what's easy. It means showing up every day, even when no one sees the effort. But here's the reward. When you finally become that person stable, focused, unwavering, you realize that the dream itself wasn't the prize. The real reward was the transformation. You didn't just chase success. You became someone worthy of it. So if you truly want to achieve your goals alone, stop asking whether you can reach them and start asking whether you can hold them. Build the strength to carry the dream, because once you become that person, nothing can take it from you, not rejection, not failure, not fear. The dream doesn't make you strong. Becoming strong is what makes the dream possible. At the end of it all, achieving your goals alone isn't about isolation. It's about transformation. It's about stepping into the quiet, facing yourself honestly, and realizing that everything you've been searching for, the discipline, the strength, the validation, the purpose, has been inside you the entire time. The world teaches you to depend on others, to wait for support, to seek approval. But real growth happens when you decide to depend on your own character. You learn to walk through solitude and find strength in silence. You build self-discipline that doesn't waver when no one's watching. You stop begging for recognition and start feeding your own drive. You turn pain into your greatest teacher, rejection into redirection, and setbacks into the raw material of resilience. You craft a vision so powerful that it becomes the compass guiding your every move. And through it all, you evolve into someone capable of carrying the dream, even when it feels like the world has turned its back. This journey isn't easy, it was never meant to be, but it's worth it, because when you achieve your goals alone, you gain something far greater than success. You gain ownership of your life. You stop being a passenger and become the author of your destiny. You learn that solitude isn't emptiness, it's strength. And once you've built that strength, once you've proven to yourself that you can walk alone and still rise, you'll never fear being alone again. The goal isn't just to reach the top. It's to become the kind of person who belongs there,